Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. My name is Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us. It is a Friday afternoon here in historic downtown Charlottesville. We're in the Macklin building. Judah Wickower is our director and the jack of all wit, Judah Wickower. Today's show is a good one. It's presented by Skooma Boutique Dispensary, the best dispensary in Charlottesville, Virginia. Skooma Boutique Dispensary with locations on Elliowood Avenue on the UVA corner and on the downtown mall, Skooma Boutique Dispensary. If you're watching the news, if you're on social media, you will know now that the Supreme Court just overturned Roe v. Wade, ending 50 years of federal abortion rights. The Supreme Court, in a 5-4 decision, overturned Roe v. Wade, the landmark ruling that established the constitutional right to abortion. Roe, since 1973, had permitted abortions during the first 2 trimesters of pregnancy in the United States. Almost half the states in the free union are expected to outlaw or severely restrict abortion as a result of the Supreme Court's decision. Justice Samuel Alito wrote the majority opinion. The court's other 5 conservatives, including Chief Justice John Roberts, join in the judgment, which was opposed by the 3 liberal justices. 5-4 decision. Now, there's 22 states in the free union. You heard me correctly, 22 states in America that are going to outlaw or severely make difficult abortions. Some of those states include Texas, Michigan, Wisconsin, West Virginia, Georgia, South Carolina, Idaho, just to name a few. We'll talk about this on the I Love CVille Show from a Charlottesville standpoint, from a localized standpoint. This is going to be the topic of midterms. This is going to be the topic that dominates the news cycle. This is going to be the topic that pushes COVID on the back burner. This is going to be the topic that pushes Russia-Ukraine on the back burner. This is the topic that may push the Federal Reserve and inflation for maybe this coming week out of the news cycle. CNBC is on in the I Love CVille studios all the time, throughout the entire day. We're watching it now. CNBC, the financial news network, is doing nothing but Roe v. Wade coverage. And now they're waiting for President Joe Biden to come to the podium to speak on this landmark decision. Look, as a father, our kid is 4 years old. And many of you that are watching and listening to this show can likely relate to this. My whole world and my perspective on life has changed dramatically since the birth of our son. It's just made me appreciate life and consider life differently since our son was born. Okay? I've undoubtedly become more vulnerable. I find myself getting teary-eyed and choked up to Toy Story. Why they sent those toys to the daycare to get abused and beat up and torn apart. Woody and Buzz did not deserve that. Woody and Buzz did not deserve that. And of course that's going to make me emotional.
That movie had me teary-eyed, though.
Woody and Buzz did not deserve to go to a daycare to be bullied and abused by the children.
No, that was... And when they...
Did you cry?
Yeah, when they were going down that funnel, oh, man. That was some epic tears coming from me.
Yeah. I'm crying at Toy Story. I'm looking at life completely different. And when I see this hit television, there you see Judah Wickower's handsome mug on screen. Please wave to your adoring fans and friends and family watching the program. Judah, you've become such a beloved institution in this community so quickly. When I saw it on screen, I immediately thought about it from my son's eyes. I'm like, this kid, our son, is going to learn about this undoubtedly in middle school or high school history. Then I thought about it from the eyes of all the women in this world, family in this world that I care so deeply about. And Carol Thorpe, welcome to the show. Travis Hackworth, we'll get to your comments in a matter of moments from Danville. A lot of comments coming on the show already. It's going to dominate the news cycle. It may push inflation and the Fed up in rates out of the cycle. From a financial standpoint, if Roe versus Wade overturning dominates the news cycle, you may see the markets respond favorably because you're not getting inundated by financial talking heads talking about rising rates and how inflation's crushing and causing volatility in the indices. Surprise, surprise, and I'm not saying they're correlated, but it's interesting for sure. Markets are green today.
Yeah.
The entire morning has been nothing but Roe versus Wade talk, as opposed to inflation causing volatility in the Russell 2000, 1000, the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Dow. Okay?
Shows how easily we're affected by what's on the news.
Right. We're brainwashed by media. There's no, and both Judah and I understand the influence we have here with the I Love CVille Show. We're reaching more people than the local news on this network because we're putting the content on social media and on every social platform possible. Biden is now on screen talking about this. For the last 3 hours, CNBC, the financial television network, has talked no finances. Guess what? The NASDAQ's up 2.3. The S&P, 2.31, and the Dow, 2 points. Is there a correlation? No negative news on CNBC? Financial markets are positive? Perhaps. You've said this so many times on the program. The influence of Jim Cramer on investing.
Ugh.
Likely the most influential single person on investing, Jim Cramer, because of the reach provided to him by CNBC.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it from a truly, the essence of this. Travis Hackworth is watching in Danville. He says this: abortion is not a codified constitutional right within the document. It should have always been a state issue. If people wanted it as a constitutional right, then take it through the process to add it to the Constitution.
That's a good point.
Travis Hackworth, good point right there. How about this storyline? J.P. Morgan, the bank, Jamie Dimon's bank. J.P. Morgan, about 42 minutes ago, told every employee in a company-wide memo that the bank will pay for travel to states that allow abortion.
Yeah.
J.P. Morgan Chase told workers that it will pay for travel to states that allow legal abortions. A memo obtained by CNBC. CNBC, the financial station, is covering abortion and not finances right now.
I have to wonder if that's all employees or just upper management.
It says all employees. Take it a step further. Will J.P. Morgan Chase pay for a male employee to travel with his wife for emotional support to a state that allows abortion? Or is the abortion that J.P. Morgan's paying for only for female employees?
I would guess the latter.
22 states aren't going to allow this. The talking point of midterms, this or inflation. It's not COVID, Russia, Ukraine. COVID, Russia, Ukraine has been so taken over by inflation, oversaturated by inflation. Inflation's the talk. Is this abortion or inflation the toast and talk of midterms in November?
I think they're going to be big. There might also be some talk about marijuana legalization.
I don't even think that's a top 3 talking point. Maybe not even a top 5.
I don't know.
Because you're saying it's taken too long to get to that point.
I'm saying there's been some, for instance, Youngkin. Almost putting the kibosh on.
Or Skooma.
Yeah.
And he did otherwise, though.
But in a time when our country is in dire need of an infusion of money, I think that.
I've said on this program multiple times, once cannabis in Central Virginia, once cannabis in the Commonwealth is a full retail, legal, above board, purchasable commodity or product, that it's going to have a greater financial impact on Central Virginia than the beer business, the brewery business, the winery business. I've said it, I'll say it again, it will have a greater impact than beer and wine. And today, cannabis is edibles. It's not just smoking of past.
Right.
It's enjoyed in numerous different formats. It will have a greater impact than beer and wine in Central Virginia.
Yeah, and like I was saying, in a time when we're desperately in need of money coming into our into our counties, our cities, our states, this could help solve a lot of problems, as well as giving people access to something that some really need medically.
Carol Thorpe agrees with Travis Hackworth's comment. Travis Hackworth's watching in Danville. MJ Arquette, welcome to the program. We're going to talk some Greene County today for you, MJ Arquette, including this interesting, and she adds, and gun control to the mix too. MJ Arquette, we're going to talk some Greene County, which I know is near and dear to your heart. The Ting Pavilion, the Sprint Ting Pavilion, the Ting Pavilion on the downtown mall.
Did you say that's near and dear to my heart?
No, MJ Arquette.
Oh, yeah.
She loves Greene. The Ting Pavilion was almost in Greene County. Dave Matthews and Corin Capshaw pitched the pavilion with a Greene County location. It was not approved, and as a result is now on the downtown mall. But I did not know that 20 years ago, Dave Matthews of the Dave Matthews Band and Corin Capshaw, arguably the most influential music mogul in the country, pitched to Greene County government the pavilion in their backyard, and they said no. They said no. In hindsight, perhaps not the best decision.
Probably not.
Kevin Higgins watching the program, he said, in this country, the king of Greenwood says, and this country is addicted to talking about how the Middle East treats its women. Is this ruling any different? Do you want to touch that one, Judah Wickhauer? I will say this, my wife, in the brief time that I've been able to correspond with her, we found out about this during Real Talk with Keith Smith. Then our show follows. Mm-hmm. I have had not an opportunity to correspond with her about this outside text messages, but I do know ideologically where she stands on abortion, and I can undoubtedly say with confidence and conviction that this beyond pisses her off. That she feels this is her right to do, that there are a number of circumstances that we can outline clearly where this would be an applicable circumstance.
I think I'm more
for a female to do.
Favor of the applicable circumstances than I am with having it as a, just.
It's not a birth control method. That's what you were going to say.
Yeah.
But there are a number of circumstances where you can say that abortion would be the path of pursuit for females who have to make this decision.
Yeah. If a pregnant woman's life is on the line, I have no problem saving her life at the cost of an unborn child. I'm sorry.
Right. We also know of a number of, not to get into the gory, the details, a number of other reasons or ways why they may choose this path.
Yeah.
This is the topic of midterms. This is the topic of the election in November. This will dominate the news cycle. Our children watching the parents that are watching the program, our children will learn about this in history class. The president is addressing essentially the globe right now from the White House in our studio. There are 22 states set to disallow abortion. Virginia is not one of them.
And so we're going to be gearing up for an influx of people coming to take advantage of.
I would imagine.
You take availability.
Take West Virginia. West Virginia is going to disallow it.
Yeah.
If you're in West Virginia, where are you going to go? Virginia. I'm looking at a map. Idaho, Texas, Oklahoma, Wisconsin, Michigan, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana.
Oh, I'm looking at the map, and there's like a giant dark line coming straight down through the center of the United States, where its providers are likely to have to close.
Right. Oh, man. 2022 has been a year.
It seems like every year
what the hell?
It seems like every year looks at the year just passed and says, hold my beer.
Yeah! Let's go over 2022, please. Can we go over 2022? And let's look at this from a global standpoint, a national standpoint, and a local standpoint. Let's just go back and forth. 2022, this is what we've had to deal with. Global, national, local. Global, Russia, Ukraine.
Yep.
Global, warmongering bully invading another country because of his legacy and not logic.
Yep.
National, inflation. National, highest gas prices in American history. National, inflation out of control. National, labor shortage. National, COVID's still happening. People are still getting COVID. I have friends right now that are quarantining with COVID.
Yeah.
Literally.
And I think we're looking at some more variants
Coming. Local. Brackney. Dirty laundry secret recordings of City Hall.
Ugh.
Local. What happened in 2022? Insurrectionist on the payroll at City Hall. Posting on social media anti-Black Lives Matter stuff and being in the Capitol on January 6, 2021. That's local. What else am I missing? Fertilizer, try to buy it, you can't. Wheat, try to buy it, you can't.
So many supply chain issues, so many issues with, what is it, metals for cars and phones.
Chips.
Yeah,
try to get used cars in 2022. Try to buy a new car in 2022. How about personal property assessments? How are used cars up 25% year over year?
Used cars.
You know, you're in Albemarle County, right? Your personal property tax bill is due on Monday. Your tax bill on the home that you own is due on Monday. The payment penalty is significant. Pay it on Monday. We can use the drop box outside of Albemarle County office building. Make sure it's in there before, on the way home.
My tax payment gets paid by the mortgage.
On your house, but not your car.
No, not on my car.
Car, you got to pay it. You're up 25% on that fantastic vehicle that you have year over year. What else 2022? Viewers and listeners, what are we missing for 2022? Bring it up. How about this year, viewers and listeners? Carol Thorpe will get to your comment. Travis will get to your comment. Has this not been the year? What am I missing?
Saw something about how giant spiders were supposed to rain down on the East Coast. I haven't seen it happen yet, but
giant spiders are raining down on the East Coast?
They're supposed to be coming. It's not a joke. I wish it was.
Kevin Higgins watching the program. He says, I am a lifelong Republican, Kevin Higgins has said. This country has never had a female president. There are parallels here. No one can determine what a woman can do with her body, and I'm a lifelong Republican, Kevin Higgins said. Wait, just wait, and watch. Birth control is next, Kevin Higgins said.
Wow.
He's got a daughter. He's seeing it from his daughter's perspective. There's no one Kevin Higgins loves more on this planet than his daughter. And he's seeing it from his daughter's perspective. And he says, just wait, rolling blackouts are next. Dude, 2022 in Charlottesville, we saw the snowpocalypse that put people out of power for a week.
Yeah.
Earlier this year. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Snowpocalypse.
That was crazy.
2022 has been a year.
It's only half done.
And we're in June 24th. How about the school shootings?
I mean, that's kind of a constant in America, sadly.
Sadly. It's been a year. Let's get to comments. We'll go to Danville. Danville's on fire. I'm very bullish on the comeback city. Danville, New River District. A USA Today Suffolk University poll released on Friday showed just under 15% of likely voters viewed abortion as the most important election issue headed into the November midterms. A majority of respondents, 62%, said abortion is an important issue, but not the most important one. I think the most important issue for midterms is going to be inflation. It's, as James Carville said, it's the economy, stupid. Abortion is going to be on that short list as talking points come midterms. Carol Thorpe is the queen of Jack Jewett. Then you jump in. Let's get to the queen of Jack Jewett. Carol Thorpe, I love you, Carol Thorpe. I love when you watch the show. I love when you participate with the show. You're a huge fan. Huge fan of you, Carol Thorpe. Huge fan of you. She says, abortion is a flashpoint issue today, but knowing Americans, it will not be with 4 months passing between now and November. The economy will loom supreme. The economy will loom supreme. I say inflation in the economy, number one. I'm going to say abortion, number two. I'm going to say Russia, Ukraine in the third slot. We need midterms. If we want the economy to rebound, we want midterms to yield a divided government, a balanced and divided government. Economies rebound when there's parity on either side of the aisle and the government's divided. That's what we need if we want to see a bounce back on this economy.
I'm not sure if there's anything that either side can do at this point.
Well, I mean, I would think that, I don't know if you feel this way, but I would imagine the right, Republicans, they're in the driver's seat right now at midterms.
Sounds fair.
Biden, say what you want. The first part of his term, I mean, he's 2 years plus in now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's gone swimmingly well.
I wouldn't either. I also don't know that
John Blair, hello and welcome to the show. We love you, John. We love you, John Blair.
I don't know that I would put all the blame on Biden or his
No, it
or
can't.
his
He
team.
can't. He couldn't get all the blame.
But my point is, I don't know at this point. I don't know that there's a whole lot that any either side could do. If somebody else had been in the driver's seat for the last 2 years, I'm not sure that they could have done a whole lot different. A lot of this has been building since 2008.
Yeah. Carol says, don't forget immigration is a talking point for midterms.
I haven't seen that in the news in a long time.
Kevin Higgins says this, we currently have a president that needs a cue card to sit down in a conference room meeting. This country will have a national issue that will dominate midterms. My bet is a cyber attack on financial systems like Visa, MasterCard, Amex, American Express, etc. If you don't think we are weak right now, you need to drink more orange juice. Kevin Higgins, I'm responding to your comment. You are good people, sir. Enter. I didn't know this. This is for MJ Arquette. Huge fan of MJ Arquette. I'm going to respond to her comment here on one of the 15 Facebook pages this fine show is airing upon. And I'm going to say to MJ Arquette, you are A-plus people. Did you, CBS 19, the TV station, had a nice little tidbit in an article this morning. And the tidbit was in a story CBS 19 did on glamping. Are you familiar with glamping?
Glamping.
Glamping is glamorous camping. Glamping is a combination of glamour and camping. Glamping. It's glamorous camping. It's when you go camping in a luxurious setting like super deluxe tents, improved sleeping arrangements within those tents. They have lights. They may have some kind of cooling mechanism.
Cabins.
Yeah, I mean, it's glamorous camping.
Flushable toilets.
The story CBS 19 did was about a glamping site in Greene County. The Greene County Board of Supervisors are considering a proposal for a glamping location, a 144-tent campsite from Mutton Hollow Road in Mutton Hollow Road in Standardsville. The mayor, Gary Lowe, says this could be an economic development opportunity that lines up with the community's long-term vision. The point of what I'm relaying to you is not about glamping.
Now imagine if they had the Pavilion to go together with their glamping.
That's the point I'm relaying to you. In the bottom of this CBS 19 news story that's on the website is a paragraph that I did not know. And I know a lot about this area. I follow this area. I'm well-read. I've been here almost 22 years. I'm a junkie for news in this area. I like to talk to people. I like to learn. I did not know what I'm about to relay to you. Music mogul, real estate developer, businessman extraordinaire, Corin Capshaw, and arguably his most talented protege or client on his roster, Dave Matthews, were looking to build an amphitheater in Greene County in the same location this 144 tent glamping site is being considered. 20 years ago, Greene County leadership 20 years ago said no to Corin Capshaw and Dave Matthews. They pivoted their approach and said, all right, Greene County, you don't want the pavilion? We'll take it to the city of Charlottesville, and now it's the Ting Pavilion on the downtown mall.
Someone's been kicking themselves.
What if it happened in Greene County, the Ting Pavilion? I still think a pavilion would have come to the downtown mall, in particular that end of the mall, which is the sleepy end of the mall. But Greene County having a chance for Corin Capshaw and Red Light Management to book major acts to Greene?
That would have
been
changed a lot of things in the last 20 years.
Would have changed so much for Greene in the last 20 years. Much for Greene.
Not just for Greene.
Well, for Madison, for Culpeper, for Standardsville, for Ruckersville.
For Charlottesville.
I still think a pavilion would have come for the downtown mall.
It might have.
But can you imagine 10,000 supercharged music fans for Fridays After 5 at the pavilion and one other concert or two other concerts a week? What would that have done for Jack's Shop Kitchen? What would that have done for Blue Ridge Cafe?
And glamping.
What would that have done for glamping? Would there be more hotels that would have been built to accommodate 10,000 people in Greene County a few times a week for concerts that Corin Capshaw was booking?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Capshaw and Dave Matthews tried to build an amphitheater in Greene County 20 years ago, and Greene County leadership said no. I did not know that. And learning something every day makes me very excited. And this story tickled my fancy today. The Roanoke County School Board, Roanoke, Virginia, the Roanoke County School Board unanimously passed a new library policy last night that's more restrictive to adding new books to the book reading list for students. The matter comes after a book, and the book was called, or is called, When Aiden Became a Brother. This book was removed from the Herman L. Horn Elementary book reading list last year amongst debate from parents. This particular book, When Aiden Became a Brother, featured a transgender boy wanting to be a good brother to his new sibling. Parents in Roanoke got upset that elementary students were learning about a transgender boy. As a result, the Roanoke County School Board last night will now require all librarians at their respective level to approve a book before it could be added to a book reading list. Before the librarians decide to agree on a book, 2 elementary school librarians must read and write a review for each book before it is added to the collection. One is required to read and write a review at the middle and high school levels. What do you make of this? Librarians are essentially vetting in much more stringent fashion
what
book reading lists for kids.
Part of me understands, but another part of me is just, a little bit disgusted with parents. Like, really? You should know what your kids are reading. Like, they shouldn't be going to the library and picking up books, and then you're, surprised that they're reading this book? Like, be a part of your child's life.
Well, the parents did complain to the Roanoke school system about the book. And that's why we got to this position, was because parents were angry that the book was featuring a transgender boy.
Yeah, no, I get that, but I don't, I'm sure I went and picked up books when I was a kid going to the library, and my parents didn't necessarily know what I was reading, but that wasn't when I was, who's the book aged for? 5 years old, 6 years old? Like, I wasn't going to the library by myself when I was 6 and picking out books about transgender kids. Even if they were there, that's not what I would have been looking at.
Well, these particular books they're required to read.
Oh, they're required to read?
Yeah, this is part of the required book reading list.
You should have led with that.
Well, I thought I said that, a book reading list. When you get the summer book reading list and you have to read these books?
I never had that as a kid.
Okay, yeah, that's it's quite common. So it's required reading.
Okay.
From the school system.
In that case, I can definitely see their consternation.
The parents.
Yeah.
Is it going to come to Charlottesville? Is it going to come to Albemarle County?
That book or that?
No, that
ruling?
tactic.
No idea. I don't have a problem with a library having books, but in terms of reading lists and this is what you have to read, I mean, that just seems a little bit.
I mean, the summer reading list is a pretty common thing for schools.
Yeah.
It gives you a little work to do over the summer so you're prepared for school once you get there.
Yeah.
Did you go to a Quaker school?
A Quaker school?
Where'd you go? You went to public school, right?
And what grades are we talking about?
Well, I don't know. I mean, you not having a summer reading list, I find that a little curious.
I don't remember anything like that. I mean, I went to a Christian school from second through fourth grade. Then I went to a public school, fifth and sixth. Then we moved to Maine. I don't remember a reading list, but I was always reading on my own anyways.
Yeah, you have a voracious appetite for the written word.
Yeah.
You're a voracious reader. Well, I mean, the times they be a changing. The times
Always.
they be a changing. You're seeing this you're seeing the pendulum, and maybe I'm reading this wrong. Viewers and listeners, what do you think about this? We're seeing the pendulum shift. For the last few years, being woke, and this cancel culture, and being super left was in vogue. Was in vogue.
I think it still is.
I don't see as much momentum behind woke and cancel culture and super left as we did years ago. The ideological, what's the word?
Ideological?
Ideological pendulum is shifting.
I don't know about that.
You disagree? It's going from Roanoke County, the public school system, where required book reading, as now the school system is voting or allocating or decision making in more conservative fashion.
Yeah, but there will always be pushback against those types of things, and I think cancel culture is still alive and sadly kicking. And
is it kicking as strongly as it was?
We've got people saying that you should fire a guy because he was in the Capitol.
That is not why they're saying that, Judah.
Okay, why are they saying it?
They're saying that the guy that works in public safety for Charlottesville City Hall,
yeah,
folks are saying that he should lose his job because he's not representing his employer the right way. And when you look at him being inside the Capitol on January 6th of last year, as a social voyeur, he claims, a videographer, and then you also include the fact that his social media had some very radically right things on it, where there's smoke, there's fire. And did you know, we saw, I'll get out of your way, I apologize for monopolizing the conversation. Yesterday, you and I both read the email, we'll read it again, let's read it again. I forwarded it to you from Dave McNair. The DTM, the local journalist Dave McNair, and in his email recap, I'm going to open it up right now. In his email recap, do you have it?
Yeah, open it up.
All right, I got it too. This particular employee who was in the Capitol, this is according to Dave McNair and socialist dog mom Molly Cogner. Molly Cogner, the Twitter superstar, did some serious digging. And the individual that's in question for being inside the Capitol on January 6th, the public safety employee who has some pretty nasty and terrible content on his social media, he's been on probation since 2020 for a road rage incident during which he allegedly pulled a gun at a woman at a red light.
Yeah, and that's horrible.
This doesn't seem like the guy you want working in public safety.
But he's IT. He's an IT support specialist. He's not like...
Judah, there's multiple people who've worked in public safety at City Hall that have posted on social media, I've worked the job he's doing now, and the fact that he has access like he has now and has this kind of mindset is dangerous.
Okay. Here's my problem. If his employer chooses to fire him for those things, they are well within their rights. But for everybody to be screaming and calling for his firing, that I see as part of cancel culture. We're talking about trying to influence who hires and who fires who based on our preferences. If his employer has not seen a problem with any of his actions.
Brackney, here's the weird thing. Brackney tweeted that the FBI in Richmond, the Richmond office of the FBI, contacted City Hall. Brackney tweeted and said that this guy is dangerous and he should lose his credentials and access. Brackney tweeted, the city is lying, we heard back, FBI Richmond interviewed the assistant chief and claimed an arrest was pending. Brackney tweeted that Boyles and the IT director were informed the employee was dangerous and to revoke his IT access and privileges. And Brackney tweeted, instead, CVille Police and CVille City Hall revoked my access and privilege and not Alan Grote's. Someone's lying here.
Yeah.
There's someone lying here. Are we in agreement there? She says the FBI contacted City Hall. City Hall is saying the FBI did not contact us. He should still be employed. Someone's lying.
That's why we shouldn't be making armchair decisions for the city on whether or not they should fire this guy. I get it that some of the people out there think that this guy is definitely unfit for the job. I understand it. But grabbing your pitchforks and your torches and basically forcing this guy out of his job is exactly cancel culture. If his bosses haven't fired him, that's their prerogative.
Lloyd Snook agrees with you.
Because Lloyd Snook is a lawyer, he understands that this.
He understands the law.
He understands that you don't just convict someone in the court of public opinion. That's why we have courtrooms.
Well said. Harvey Mayorga, welcome to the program. One of the owners of Guajiros watching the show. Well said. Well said. Carol agrees with your reasoning. Carol Thorpe. She's giving you some love. Oh, man. What'd you learn this week?
Oh, man. I learned that skaters get lights and soccer players don't.
Yeah, Dardental gets lights. The soccer fields the skate park gets lights. Yeah. Dardental, the soccer field, does not. So if you're wearing what were the big jeans? Were they Jenka jeans? You know, the skater jeans, were they Jenka?
It was called...
was it JNCO, Jenka jeans? What were the skater jeans?
Oh, let's JNCO. Junko?
You and I are getting old.
I think those were after my time.
Travis Hackenworth in Danville agrees with Judah Wickower 100%, he says. They were not after your time.
They definitely were not during my time.
Well, you're still alive. Your time is still going on.
Yeah, but I mean...
You're not dead.
I don't remember anyone ever wearing those.
You've heard of them.
It was vaguely...
The baggy jeans that skaters wore. So if you have...
Skaters wore baggy jeans when I was a kid, but not like the ones I'm looking at on my screen.
If you have a skateboard...
These look like split dresses.
And baggy jeans, you get lights for your park.
Yeah.
But if you wear Adidas and soccer shorts, you don't get lights for your park.
Yeah.
What else did you learn this week?
I learned that UVA is granting full alumni status to black nurses who earned it decades ago. And
Tell that story. That's a good story.
I say kudos. Let's see. Educated at UVA in the 50s and 60s, these nurses would eventually help desegregate the University of Virginia Hospital. And some of them went on to become Charlottesville community leaders. But because they were black at the time, or because they're black at the time, they did it all without getting what university leaders now say was owed to them. Recognition from the university and status as the UVA alumni they've always considered themselves to be, and I think always deserve to be. And so I think this is incredible, and I applaud UVA for finally making this distinction.
Well said. Very well said. I learned this week that a scorned woman should never be taken for granted. I think I had an idea that was the case. Scorned woman is a very powerful force. And you never want to get to that point if possible. That's what I learned this week. I learned this week that, what would you characterize, or how do you characterize Brackney tweeting about having secret audio tapes? Is that close to blackmail?
Yeah, I've heard a few people.
Is that blackmail?
That's pretty much, it's pretty much.
Is that blackmail?
Yeah, and
I learned this week.
The people I talked to were surprised that's you can pretty much just go and blackmail city now. Yeah,
I learned this week that a fired employee has a lot of leverage and opportunity to blackmail a city and to extort the city for $10 million, potentially.
Yeah.
That's what I learned this week.
Yeah. I mean, some people would call that extortion and blackmail. And,
is it not?
You would think the city would be...
And she's a former police chief.
Yeah, you would think...
How is that allowed?
Yeah, I don't know. You'd think the city would be well within their rights to file a countersuit alleging blackmail. I mean, she's basically saying, if you don't give me what I want,
I'm gonna release the tapes. I will
release this stuff.
Yeah.
And I still think it's very questionable the not the veracity, but
this is where you and I disagree here.
Well, we've talked.
You think the substance of what she has is flim?
No, not so much the substance. It's my problem with. So I understand that. What did we learn? That in Virginia, as long as one.
Yeah, it's one-party consent is what it's called.
One party, but tell me who the party was.
The party that's taping is the only one that has to consent.
So you're saying that I can hide a mic?
Exactly.
And I'm the party that gets to decide that.
Yep.
That's the
BS.
Biggest
load of crock
of BS.
Right.
Like, I can understand if you and I are talking and I happen to have my phone recording in my back pocket. But
it's one-party consent. You can hide the microphone.
And
we also learned from Scott Aaronworth, the Esquire in Virginia Beach, that these secret audio recordings have legitimacy in criminal court. He said he didn't think they would have legitimacy in civil court, but he said in criminal court they would.
I'm still curious how you would prove it was, someone talking.
It was the actual person.
Yeah.
Unless you have video and audio, a video of the person doing the talking.
Well, yeah, of course. But if you just had audio, how do you prove it's that person?
Unless you start the conversation by saying,
Hi,
Judah Wickhauer, how are you? And that person says, I'm doing great, thank you. But then you're going to say, how do you know that's not an actor?
I could pay for someone that sounds like you.
Like a voice coach.
Hi, my name is Jerry Miller. I'm about to...
Right, do something bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, one-party consent.
That's absolutely nuts.
Insane.
But getting back to... Yeah, it's amazing that you can just straight up blackmail a city.
That's what's happening. And the irony is, it's blackmail from a police chief.
Someone who should know better. Well,
a former police chief is utilizing blackmail and extortion. There's irony there.
A heaping serving.
Give me money or I release the tapes and all your dirt that's on them.
Yeah.
That's literally what's happening. Can't make this stuff up.
nor would you want to.
I also learned this week that we're a resilient population. We're a resilient people. Americans, Virginians, Charlottesvillians, Central Virginians. And while 2022 has undoubtedly been a huge kick in the nuts, 2022, our resilience and our courage and our fortitude will persevere. There's not a single doubt in my mind that we will get through this uncertainty, this volatility, this vulnerability, this divisiveness, and come out stronger as a country, commonwealth, as a region, and as a city.
Well, as somebody else pointed out this week, I think, not just our country, but we've all been through a lot worse, not necessarily in our individual lives or in our lifetimes, but, from the Great Depression, to, the aftermath, the two wars. The
World War
first
II
of
wars,
which was
one
supposed
and
to
two.
end all wars, clearly didn't. World War II said, "Hold my beer," and in the aftermath, though, yes, we are adaptable,
Resilient. And as Kevin
resilient.
Higgins just put, our kids will take care of the mess.
We hope we.
The future is bright with our children. I'm so proud, so proud of the big boy our son is turning into. I'm so proud of him. I'm so proud of him. And I'm so proud of Carol's son and Travis, if you have kids. I'm proud of them. And Kevin Higgins, of your daughter. And MJ, of your family. All this crap is going on, but I still believe in the future. And I still believe in this town, in this region, in this commonwealth, in this country. Still believe in it. That's the Friday edition of the show. This man is Judah Wickower. He's just turning into a sensational broadcaster. The jack of all wit, Judah Wickower.
Also known as the Jack Wit.
You said that, not me. You said that, not me. My name is Jerry Miller, and this is the Friday edition of the I Love CVille Show. I want to leave with this message. Keep your support and your dollars in the local community. It's needed now more than ever. Keep your support and your local dollars in the local community. It's needed now more than ever. For Judah, Jerry Miller, the I Love CVille Show on a Friday. So long.